but I wanted to come on here. I want to first say I want to give thanks to all my subscribers and everybody who's also on my Patreon account. I really appreciate you guys. Just got in from a long, hard day's work, so if you hear background noise, that's because we just moving around and doing things. But I want to come on and say happy summer solstice. We're going to talk about a couple of other things as well. I'm going to talk about this my immigration crisis that we're having here in America. But first thing first, definitely want to talk about summer solstice and its meaning. You know, its meaning to many people. Jamar was at the Temple of Maya. I believe he was at the Temple of Maya. I know I saw it on his page where they was having a celebration of the summer solstice and what it really means. And since we in the Amun Ra part has already went by, which is the Amun Ra is the lowest point of the sun when the sun goes down. You know, I want to know what you guys thought of the summer solstice. Did you pay attention to it? Did you go out? Did you do some sun meditation? Did you solar energy? Because this was the longest day of the year on the northern hemisphere. Understand northern hemisphere. The summer solstice is the winter solstice on the southern hemisphere. So when we think about these things, we got to get a more of a world mind, universal mind when it comes to these things. Because, like I just said, it was only summer solstice here, but if you was in Brazil, it was winter solstice. If you was in Botswana, winter solstice. Australia, winter solstice. But here in America, Europe, Northern Africa, most of Asia is summer solstice, longest day of the year. This is a huge celebratory time for ancient cultures because it represented the light being visible, being there for the longest day of the year. This is when the light is truly triumphant. And it's not, even though it's a physical representation, what we have to always keep in mind is the mental metaphorical representation of the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, the day of your longest enlightenment, where you see the light, where you walk in the beauty of the light, on more so than any other day. But we also must recognize this day as a day to start to be on guard of the darkness that follows. And that's just metaphoric. The darkness that follows. We're gonna lose less and less light, every day until we get to the winter solstice and before, the sun starts being longer, the days start being longer. But let's understand the mentality of the summer solstice. What I want you guys to think about is your growth, your ability to grow, your ability to grow as the sun has grown throughout this year. That as we moved into that summer solstice, it's getting to the apex of your consciousness. And that's what the summer solstice really means to me. Is getting to the apex of your consciousness. And this is not something that's done annually where there's one day out the year. It represents continuation of your conscious development so that you're always growing. That if you're not attentive to the growth of your consciousness, that you'll start to decline, that you'll start to lose, that you'll start to move southward, that you'll start to diminish your ability to be able to raise in consciousness, to raise your vibration. That's right. What Greg, I saw that, Greg. Let me see what you said there. In my eye. That's right. I had this close to my skin every day, all day today. Usually I wear it outside my shirt, but today I needed it touching my skin all day. All day I had this touching my skin. That's where it is right now. Usually it's outside, but today I had to be. I wanted contact, but that contact was just a representation of me moving forward. And the beauty of it is that I had set my aligning of my chakras for these last, well, it's an 8-week process, but I made sure, and it started on Thursdays. And the reason why, and I didn't say this when I first started, but the reason why is I wanted the first day of my third eye focus, because all this week I'll be focused on my third eye. I wanted that first day to culminate on the summer solstice as a reminder, as an example of me being able to focus on developing and continue to grow and seeing my consciousness grow, breaking down the calcifications that has been put on my pineal for the years that I was younger and I didn't know as much. I didn't do as much. I didn't pay attention as much. So I, continue to see my vision and grow the vision. And it was so appropriate that today I spent most of my day working on my business. I also spent most of my day working on all the concepts and precepts of the Temple of Learning that that we're developing here in Atlanta, and how we'll bring people in, and just to hit on that for a second, one of the primary focus of the Temple of Learning is to help people who are coming out of traditional religion, but not only help them in getting their emotional and mental self, aligned, but also teaching financial responsibility and community development. That we teach how to bridge gaps between the different religious organizations so that we're building community. What's up, Reginald? And Reginald is going to be a part of that as well. I met Reginald. Oh yeah, for anybody who's on here, and I met you last week with Kevin. I just want to say that was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful day, to meet people, to finally put names, to put YouTube tag names to people, to faces, to actually shake hands and hug people, and just be in an environment where we just loved on each other. I mean, it was cool. So I really enjoyed that. So I want to thank everybody who came out. We really had a great time, and I look forward to building the Temple of Learning so that we can then build community and do some nation building. But so that summer solstice, that raising in consciousness, that's pinnacle. That's pinnacle to our development. It's pinnacle to our growth. We got to have it. We have to have it. Now, that's really the main thing I wanted to say as far as the summer solstice was concerned. If you guys got any questions about anything, just go ahead and throw those questions up, and we're just going to do some Q&A as well. One of the things that I definitely wanted to talk about is this whole crisis, this immigration crisis that the media is spinning on people, and that actually there's legitimacy to it. But one of the primary things is that I've heard some of the thought leaders in the conscious community talking about it. I've heard Jamar talking about it. I've heard Dr. Bryce Watkins talk about it, Umar Johnson, Tariq Rashid. I've heard some of them talking about it. One of the aspects, let me put it like this. I agree, and then I disagree. There are parts of their conversation that I agree with 100%, and there are parts of their conversation that I completely disagree with. Let's start with the disagreement. I completely disagree with the idea that if you have any empathy towards the family, the children and the families that have been split up, that by having empathy for them, by having emotion, by feeling for them, that you are somehow racist. I don't agree with that at all. Even the white people who feel for them, I don't think that they're racist. I just look at this has been thrust in their face as something that's out of the norm. I don't feel like they're being racist. I don't think that they're being racist. Simply, let's see, how do I want to phrase this? Because I don't want to misunderstand. I don't want anybody to misunderstand me. Here's the deal. This is just how people work. This is how society works. We can all day talk about the fact that black families are separated all the time, that we have a history of separating black families in this country, that we separate black families all the time by placing people in jail for something as minor and something that should be legal, like marijuana charges. These people should not be in jail, and we're separating children, we're separating families in that format in the black community. We're separating that in American communities. It happens every day that families are separated and children are separated from their family members. But we're used to it. We're accustomed to it. White America, black America, Asian America, Spanish America, all America is accustomed to the citizens in this country being separated from their families to a certain degree. And of course, in the minority groups, it's even more so than in any other groups. You see more parents who are in jail separated from their children, more children, young adults who are separated from their families in jail for things like for small criminal offenses, and then they get these exorbitant type of detention, of jail time. We know that black people are incarcerated at a higher rate. We know that black youth are incarcerated at a high rate. We know that that for things that a white kid would get probation for, a black kid gets jail for. And so we know that they're separating black families. We know this. But here's the problem. We're used to it. white America doesn't come out and scream when Shay Shay get I shouldn't say that. But when a black mother is separated from her young son because he was caught with an ounce of marijuana and that kid goes to jail, white America is used to that. What white America is not used to is seeing hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of immigrant families separated in the way that they're doing it. That's and because of that, you get this outcry because it's uncommon. It's not a daily thing that these people are being done that way. Now, when they had the Cuban immigration crisis back in I think the 70s, it was occurring. It was an uproar, but then it became a common thing because it lasted so long. People didn't think about it. Let me see what Reginald said. Immigration is a difficult topic to me. It just seems like immigration laws target Latinos, maybe just me. No, you're not. It does target basically in every country, and I can speak to this in multiple countries because I've lived in multiple countries and I've seen it work the same way. If you're immigrating from a country that has a better educational system and you coming through with better, education and jobs and talents and skills, it's easy and it's not that much of a problem. But when countries where people are being abused and there's poor leadership and most of the people are either illiterate or have lower levels of education and lower levels of talents and skills, they discriminate against that. And that's what I've seen. Like when you go in Germany, they don't discriminate against the Hispanics coming over. They don't discriminate against Asians coming over. They don't discriminate against most Africans coming over. They discriminate against Turkish people coming over and Syrian people coming over. That's who they were discriminating against. The same, it amazed me because the Turkish people were treated like Spanish people here in America. So when you break down countries and you see where they have immigration issues, most of the time they're trying to keep out people who they feel are going to be a drain on their economy. And of course, that leads to racial profiling as well. So, say illegal immigration saves, my contact just went crazy on me. Saves these big corporations millions of dollars every year. It sure does because a lot of these corporations use illegal immigrants and they don't pay a lot of taxes. They don't pay taxes. They don't pay health benefits. They don't pay a whole bunch of money that they would normally have to pay. But as I was saying, these guys, I understand what Boyce Watkins and some of these guys are saying is that in the fact that why are we so focused on it? That young man, I think it's Antoine is his name, was shot in the back in East Pittsburgh. We should be focused there. Our focus should be there. In a community whose own backyard, whose own stability needs to be taken care of, our focus cannot be wag the dog over into another issue, into another situation. So that is the part of their disagreement, their conversation that I agree with, is that we should not be focusing as much as we are on it. We should look at the situation and say, that's a deplorable situation that they're separating these families and treating these people that way. It's deplorable. But all I can give it is it's deplorable because these young black men are being shot down in the street, unarmed and running. They're being shot down in the street. It's deplorable. But in the black community, we don't own the houses and therefore we're being brutalized more so. And we're being incarcerated and separated because of judges who are trying to fight this war on drugs through marijuana. And we're being incarcerated at a higher rate. It's deplorable that the immigration and these families are being separated, but the welfare system and the lack of financial understanding, intelligence is causing black families to be separated because if the black man is in the house, then the woman can't get assistance, and because she wants to get those assistance, then she keeps the black man out of the house, thereby separating the black family. So it's deplorable over here what they're doing, but our focus needs to remain keen on what's going on in our community. See, the reason why the white community can focus and they can give their attention to what's going on with the Latinos is because in white America, they're not experiencing the separation of their families through through the use of marijuana. Marijuana in their families gets probation, gets a slap on the wrist, whereas in the black family they get incarcerated. So they can focus on the acts of Trump. They can focus on the acts of the Democrats. They can focus on the acts of the Republicans. They can focus on this concentration camp that these people are being put into, because their yard is okay. It's nice. It's trimmed. It's taken care of. The bushes, the hedges have been trimmed up. They look good. They can focus on it. But Black America, we can't focus on what's going on with this immigration issue. It doesn't make you racist. It doesn't make you unkind. You can say it's deplorable, but your energies and your time and your focus and your money and your efforts have to be over in our own community, because that's where we're being hurt. And if we allow the wag the dog to go on over into something of somebody else's community, then we're hurting ourselves. We're hurting ourselves, because while we're focused over here, paying attention to what Jorge is going through, what Maria is going through, when we're paying attention to the aluminum foil blankets that they're sleeping under, what we're not paying attention to is the homeless people in our own community. We're not paying attention to the lack of education in our own community. We're not paying attention to the lack of good policing in our own community. We're not paying attention to to how judges are giving our black youth more time in jail. We're not paying attention to not the fact that we don't own our homes and own the property in our community and the business. We're not focused on that, because we're over here paying attention to what Felipe got going on. And here's the thing about it. Once we give our energy to Felipe, Felipe is not about to come to the black community and say, now what can we do for you? You helped us over here. What can we go do for you? So I don't agree that just because you give some of your energy, if you give your thought, man, that's messed up. That's messed up. Because you get that doesn't make you racist. But I do have a problem with you turning your back to face this direction when you need to maintain your focus on what's going on in our community. The fact that a mega church is built in the hood and it stays the hood, and your mega church has been there for 20 years and it's still the hood around you, and your parishioners don't own the businesses around your mega church, they don't own the homes around your mega church, that's where our focus and attention need to be. So that's where we need to be. So I agree to a certain extent of what we need to be focused on. But what I don't agree is that if you give it your emotional sympathy, that makes you racist. But I think it's deplorable that you ignore what's going on in your own community and you're easily distracted. That's what we can't do. Let me see. I missed some questions. Living in corporation, we have to fix our own families before we can even think. Exactly. You know, this week I haven't made a lot of videos because I opened up my new store in South DeKalb Mall. Here's the thing. I got to make sure that I can't help you guys. I can't build a temple of learning if I can't take care of my own house, right? So we got to take care of our own house to be able to help other people. But the first people we got to help is our own house, the ones of our own house. So we got to help our own communities first. That's what they're doing. Most of us get called racist or radical when we embrace our culture unapologetically, and vice versa when other cultures do it. Right, and we will get called that because it's a way to distract you and trying to keep you emotionally detached from it. So you can't allow what other people say. Ray, you was at the seminar, heart chakra, maintain control over your emotions so that you do what you know you need to do, so that you and your emotions can support your vision and not your emotions override your vision and steer you in the wrong direction. Hello, short and sweet. How you doing? Thank you. I appreciate that. Greg said, but our struggle is so widely stretched that our psyche and focus is in disarray. Religion was the fatality. Get over here. No, I'm just playing. Fatality. You know what? I want to speak to that, Greg, and you're absolutely right. Our situation, let me make sure I say it right. Our struggle is so widely stretched. It is widely stretched. But the root is easily taken care of. You see, we have to build a foundation. Speaking of which, I'm going to use this as a platform. The people who have joined my financial alchemy program, I'm mad at y'all, first of all, because you have not completed your first task. You haven't completed your first task. So you're going to get hate mail tomorrow. You might get it tonight, but you're going to get some hate mail for those who joined the Financial Alchemy program and you haven't done the first task. You're getting some hate mail. But here's the thing, Greg, is the fact that we have to, even though our problem is stretch wide, we have problem with incarceration. We have problem with drug. We have problem with being on the system. We have problem with fathers being in the house, even though it's not as bad as they make it seem. But we have problems with the nuclear family, the nuclear black family. We have problems in our education. We have problem with policing. But here's the thing. Finances changes the entire scope of that. The first foundation, the first domino is finances. You see, if we begin to control our own money and then control the property, who owns the home, and then we control the business, all those other things will start to take effect. You see, it's called regentrification. You know, when they do come into a black neighborhood or a poor neighborhood, I mean, I'd say black because they do it the poor neighborhoods. When they come into a poor neighborhood and then they make it better, and these other people come in, they buy up all the land cheap and they build it up nice. They get the police to do better policing. They change the whole thing because they came in with the power of money to buy the property and then influenced everything. We have to buy our properties. We have to buy the homes. We have to own the businesses. We do that, then we change the economy. We change our society. We change our culture. But the first step in that, is to get financial literacy and put it into action. Put it into action. See, that's why I'm mad at the people who started my Financial Alchemy program. I need you to put it into action. I need you to put it into action. I need you to do those first tasks so that we can move on to the next task. All right? We should already be on step 3 right now. But we haven't got to step 1. Why? Because we procrastinate, we wait, we get too busy. And so if we get our finances, a lot of these things change because now we control who's the judge. We control who's the police chief. We control who's the police sergeant. We now have control. You know, I was showing, Lady Shay was in the car with me a couple days ago. And I was showing her this one neighborhood. We had to go into this one neighborhood and make some deliveries, right? And I was explaining to her that in this neighborhood, one of the things they've been able to do is they got the zoning laws changed so that along what's called Covington Highway, that no one else can be issued a liquor license, a pawn shop license, a check cashing license, an automobile mechanics license, and it's one other type business I can't think of, but and I think it's a beauty supply, but beauty supply and a dry cleaner. No one else can open up another one, a brand new license along that street in this particular part of Lithonia, Decatur. The only way you can start one is you have to buy out somebody else, or they have to go out of business, and then that one is up for grabs. But even in some of those industries, they close it, and when one goes away, it drops down until no one can get a new one until it hits a certain level. So they control that because they own this. Most of the people in this neighborhood own the land, and since they own the land, own the houses, when they get together, their homeowners association has dictated what the city councilman has put in place, simply because they own it. And that's what we have to change. So anyway, that's what they have to, so when we start doing that, then we can change the community, right? Sorry, daughter up here messing with me. I'm trying to do this. But let's see. I think we black folks have a struggle fetish. Yes, we do. Return to like Wall Street frame of mind. Okay, 2 things about it. Do we have a struggle fetish? Let me be honest with you. It's easier to struggle and have hope than it is to have a goal and do the work. You understand? It's easier to struggle and have hope than it is to do the work, to have a vision, have a goal, and do the work. So it's easier to scapegoat, to say that I'm hoping, I'm wishing for, that it's one day going to happen, and just remain in your misery because you're used to it. It's common for you. You're accustomed to that misery. It's easier to do that than it is to actually take personal responsibility and change your life. So when you say we have a struggle fetish, we have a situation where we've been comatized into this situation, to this lifestyle where we find comfort in the struggle and comfort in the hoping. Which leads me to the idea of returning back to a Black Wall Street frame of mind. There is something about Black Wall Street that most people don't think about, you know, Andrea. And I want you to conceptualize this. Oh, Andrea didn't say that. Sorry, Greg. But Andrea says it's enough of that stuff on Covington Highway. It's exactly, it is. That's why I forgot the name of the neighborhood, Andrea. You probably know what it's called, but it's Hill something neighborhood. It's a huge neighborhood, but they got that changed. I was sitting in one of the meetings where they was talking about that, and I was like, that's power. But the thing about Black Wall Street, here's the thing that people don't think about, they don't conceptualize when it comes to Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street wasn't built because the black people said we want to build Black Wall Street. So getting into a Black Wall Street mindset is not because those people said we want to build a Black Wall Street. When you look at the era, Black Wall Street was built because they didn't have a choice. They didn't have a choice. They built Black Wall Street because they couldn't go and shop in the white shops. They couldn't go and sell in the white shops. They had no other choice but to shop with each other. So Black Wall Street wasn't built out of a choice. It was built out of a necessity. Hence, when integration happened, everybody ran from Black Wall Streets. You see, Black Wall Streets didn't die with Tulsa. They bombed Tulsa and people like they bombed it and people didn't build it back. True, they didn't. But guess what? I grew up in Marietta, Georgia. We had a Black Wall Street on Lawrence Street. Lawrence Street and Roosevelt Circle was the Black Wall Street for Marietta back in the day, and Lemon Street. But as soon as integration happened, all the doctors left, lawyers left, dentists left, shopkeepers left, everybody left. Everybody left to go live in Horseshoe Bend, to go out and live where these other people were. Yeah, Auburn Avenue was a Black Wall Street. Integration happened. Hey, let's go to Peachtree Street. Let's go to West Peachtree. Let's go to, well, we have about 50 damn Peachtrees in Atlanta, but let's go to Buckhead. Let's go over here. Let's go over there. Bankhead was a Black Wall Street. But they all left as soon as integration because Black Wall Street wasn't a choice. I mean, it wasn't a choice. So to get into the Black Wall Street mind is to get into a mindset where you feel like you don't have a choice but to shop with black people. So we have to actually create a new mindset in order for a Black Wall Street to ever happen again. It won't happen because we're not going to be forced into it unless the police brutality continues and we come to consciousness about it. The failed democratic system of both Democrats and Republicans pushes us back into a mindset where we feel like we have no choice. We have to get to that point of feeling like we have no choice. We have to leave both the Democratic and the Republican Party in order for us to be able to get into a Black Wall Street mindset. That's how we get there. That's one of the ways to get there. I mean, we can go back to Jim Crow laws. That'll get us into a Black Wall Street, right? Let's get into a Jim Crow laws. Yeah, and they're trying to make Bankhead Highway back into that, but it's being regentrified. White folks is moving down there because they see they're moving in West End area being regentrified. But if we separate, this is one of the reasons why I'm like, okay, I'm so done with America. I'm going to Botswana because in Botswana we can build a Black Wall Street because 90-something% of the population is black. So now it's just about getting there and getting things done, right? So what we can do, let me make sure I'm not missing too much because I don't want to have to go back too far. It's easy to pray and give up, give it all to God and let him fix it. Exactly. I know you're being sarcastic. So in order for us to get to that point, what we would have to do is we would have to create, this is what the Temple of Learning is about. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. If Kevin hadn't called me and said, let's go ahead and get this started, I was going to wait till I got to Botswana to start Temple of Learning. I was kind of like through with America, you know, and to be honest, I was through with the mentality of most black Americans. And I was like, hey, I'll just take the people who really want to, who really are doing it by choice, and let's leave. Say, forget it and let's go. But since Kevin made his statements, I was like, okay, brother, this is what we can do. We can start here and we can start building. And it made sense. When I thought about it deeply, it does make sense to be able to utilize everything here in America to funnel things into Haiti and Botswana. So I said, okay, it actually does make sense. See, I can be wrong every now and then. Every blue moon. But It was a good idea. But in order, so as we set this up, the mindset is we have to prove and be. What's up, Josh? We have to prove and be something that the black community has never seen before, right? We can't be the Nation of Islam, and which did a good job of bringing black people financially together in the North, but it was under this image of Farad and Elijah Muhammad. It was under this religious banner. And because of that, and it was under the fear and the misery of the white man is the devil, and we got this enemy we got to fight, and all this kind of stuff. You know, they brought it together because of that. The civil rights movement in the South was really, it was about, they made a mistake. They made a mistake. It should not have been about integration. It should have been about just the fact that we want equal treatment under the law, plain and simple. That's it. But to integrate into their schools, to integrate into their colleges, to integrate into their businesses and neighborhoods, that should not have been a part of it. There should have been constantly and consistently a build our own communities, build our own finances, because that is how you fight oppression. It's through either through warfare or through money. Warfare or money. That's it. And we didn't. We fought it incorrectly. So we have to do this differently. The churches, of course, are building mega places, and then the neighborhood looks like crap, and they don't own the neighborhood. So that's why we have to change the way it's done and build so that people are learning how to own the neighborhood, own the community, own the businesses, and then properly how to flex their power in order to change the political scene and change all the change the political scene, change the police, change the fire department, change everything. If you come to Atlanta now, Atlanta is so much different. 20 years ago, there was a few cities, right? There was Marietta and all of Cobb. There was Fulton County, period, right? City of Atlanta, Fulton County. But now, like, Fulton County is their city of Atlanta. There's city of Sandy Springs. There's city of Alpharetta, city of Milton. There's South Fulton City. There, all these smaller cities have broken away because they understand that there's power in their separation. What we have to understand is that we have power in separation. I know it sounds like what the Nation of Islam was talking about. It sounds like what Marcus Garvey was talking about, but it's separation within the borders of this situation, whereas we separate our money and refocus it in order to build our communities as if we are city-states within a state. And that's the mindset that we have to take. Be a city-state within the state. Having our own schools, having our own banks, having our own shops, having our own malls, having our own police force, our own everything. Whereas we do that, we will then be able to grow. Exactly. Ethnic conclaves. All right. Let's see, what did Patricia say? I don't want to. Many are asleep. I'm on my own. I own my own business. I try to buy from my own as much as possible. Hurts my heart to see our young people. Right. And now here's the thing about the young people. We have to change and then let that change migrate into them. Whereas if they grow up shopping in black businesses, if they grow up knowing that they can have meetings to influence the police department, if they grow up knowing the police officer, like that's Officer Johnson. Officer Johnson knows my mom. He knows my dad. If they grow up knowing that all the men in that's in the neighborhood will get on to them just as much as their father. All the women in the neighborhood will get on to them. If they grow up in that environment, then they become different. It's a 40-year journey. It's nothing that's going to happen overnight. It's a 40-year journey. It has to be so uncommon to be outside of the ethnic conclaves, as the phrase that was used by Patricia. It has to become uncommon to do that in order for people to join in. Because, see, that's how a movement starts, by the one first lone nut goes out there. There's a video about this. I think it was great. I forgot who did it. But he talked about the lone nut who gets out there, and they're the first one to do it. And then here comes the next couple of people who do it, and they're like they're like innovators. They don't mind standing out there alone either. But it's those people who then convince other people to join in. And then as other people join in, the mass starts moving until before long, there's more people up dancing crazy than there are people sitting on the sideline. There's more people buying black businesses than there are on the sideline. So if we took one area, say like Lithonia, Georgia, and we built that truly into a black city, a black industrial complex, a black ethnic enclave, if we built that, right, and then it showed that it worked, another smaller area somewhere else will say, wow, let's do it too. They'll be the first ones. And then another one says, let's do it. And then another one, then another. And then before long, it becomes more common to do that than the alternative, which is to not do it. It becomes more like, I became a doctor, I need to go live in a black community where we're circulating our dollar. Instead of me living over here, you know, I don't want to go live in Beverly Hills. We've rebuilt Compton. I need to go live there. You know, it would have to become that. Like, many people trip that I grew up in Marietta, but here's the funny thing about it. The black people still live in our little conclaves in Marietta. We still have events in Marietta that most people who didn't grow up there don't really know about. You know, that's just how it is, because they've kept, you know, the people who are involved have kept kept that enclave. I like that. I'm gonna steal your word all the time. They've kept that. If we do that, and it takes time. It's not gonna happen overnight. But the beauty of the internet is that what would have taken 200 years to happen can happen in 40 years. In 40 years, we can change all of it. And one of the biggest things that's going to be hard for people to do is that we have to step out of the Democratic and the Republican Party. We have to get out of those political parties. Those political parties are suckering black people. We have to leave them, not have anything to do with it. You don't see the Asian community fighting over who's Democrat and who's Republican. You don't see the Spanish community fighting over who's Democrat, who's Republican. You don't see them doing it. You know why? Because they're controlling their local economy. If you're controlling your local economy, you could care less, for the most part, of what's going on politically. Only the people who are making the top dollar care about what's going on politically, because that affects their business. Like, I pay attention to what's going on when it comes to nutrition at the higher level, because it affects my business. You know, it affects my primary business. I pay attention to what's going on with the tax code, because that affects my coaching company. I pay attention to what's going on with the credit code and all that kind of, because it affects my coaching company. I pay attention to those things because it affects my credit company. If it doesn't affect my money, I don't pay that much attention to it, because I realize that if we build the enclaves, then the police are not dictated by the politicians, they're dictated by the community. The fire is dictated by the community. The ambulatory service by the community. The hospital by the community. Everything becomes dictated by the community. That's how we build it. That's what we do. That's why all you guys who are in Atlanta, I'm calling on all y'all. Andrea says, do you think that, thanks, Reese. Appreciate that. Do you think that South Fulton could be the next Black Wall Street? You know, South Fulton can be. Yeah, thanks, Reese. Appreciate that. Here's the thing. South Fulton is interesting, because here's the thing about South Fulton. I live very near South Fulton. I'm not sure exactly how close I am to South Fulton, but I know I'm pretty close to it. Yeah. I just been informed it's a kiss distance away from us. But I do think, hold on, is that where that Publix is? That Publix grocery store that I like, that I think would be a great place for a store? That's part of it? Okay. All right, I had to check. I'm learning South Fulton. Like I said, I'm a north side guy. Yeah, and I know you guys just got that nose. Somebody blowing their nose. But, ladies. But anyway, from what I've seen of South Fulton, and with the land development that's going on down there, if black people get in their mindset to go down there and buy the land, which they are, a lot of them are, but buy the land, hold the land, and then dictate all the associations that come with Home City, South Fulton can be. So can Stockbridge. Here's the thing. Atlanta has the ability to create multiple Black Wall Streets in these subsection cities. You know, Sandy Springs, it took them, I think, 10 years to really get on their feet and get things going, you know. And Milton jumped on it real quick, and they're doing fantastic, mainly because of the amount of money that they have up there. But South Fulton can, right leadership has to be in place. That's the thing about it. The right leadership and the right guidance. But it has the opportunity, it has the potential to do that. And somebody playing little stank music on their phone. Linda Jones said, you can buy black, but how black is it when you have interracial couples owning businesses, where the money's going, black advancement? Your thoughts on that? You know what? I am so glad you asked that question because I've been considering that for about a good 2 months now. There was a thread that I saw. And on that thread, it was saying that a black man can be conscious, but he cannot lead the conscious community if he's not married to a black woman. And that bothered me for a while. It bothered me because there's a comedian, I can't think his name. He's a white guy comedian. He's married to a black woman. But I swear this man makes more conscious black community statements than, yeah, we can do it in South DeKalb. But he makes more black conscious community statements and supports more black efforts than most of the black leaders and entertainers and people like that I see out there. There's a lot of interracial relationships in my family. Like when we go down to my family vacation, our 21st annual family vacation, Labor Day weekend, a lot of younger ones have married or have children with women. But when I look at the women that they've chosen, these women are more indoctrinated to the black culture and the black cause. Not that ghetto version, not the ghetto version, but they understand. And here's the thing. I don't think, it's just my opinion, it comes down to the person. If you got, if Martin Luther King was married to a white woman, but he still said and did everything that he said and did, would he not? Gary Owens, thank you. I think he would still have gotten the same results. Would he have caught a lot of flack from a lot of people saying that, oh, he married to a white woman, he ain't really representing black people? Sure, he would have caught that flack. But at the end of the day, if you still do what is beneficial to the community, I'm not giving you, I don't have much to say about you. If I was married to a white woman or Asian woman or a Spanish woman, but I still decided I was going to put my business in South DeKalb Mall, and I still decided I'm going to, which is where I put it, and I still decided I was going to hire the black kids who live in that community, and I still decided I was going to mentor those black kids in that community. If I still decided that I was going to do fundraisers with the different schools and organizations and sports teams in that community, if I still do all those things, how does that diminish? How does my marriage diminish my efforts in the black community? If you allow my efforts to be diminished simply because of whom I've chosen to give my romantic affections to, then all you're saying is that I don't want your benefits, even though I know it'll make me better, it'll make my community better, but I don't want them because of that. You would hurt yourself. You would hurt the community because of that. That's asinine. That's stupid. And let me remind you, civil rights movement doesn't happen without white people. Abolition of slavery doesn't happen without white people. Civil war doesn't happen without white people. All right? It takes a conscious people to change situations that are based on superficial things. It takes a conscious. You make a conscious effort to buy from black-owned businesses. And if that black-owned business is a mixed couple, interracial couple, but you know that they down for the black community, I don't mind. When I go into South DeKalb Mall, one of the things that bothers me is that I see this business. Okay, so like the Auntie Anne's that's there, it's owned by an Asian guy. But he hired, all but one employee is black. I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem spending my money with that Auntie Anne's because he is hiring the black kids who work, the young black adults in that community. Now, conversely, you go to one of the jewelry stores in there, they own it. The Arab guy owns it. Indian guy owns it. All his family and everybody else, they the only ones working it. And guess what? When they leave, I look at their plates. They driving up to Gwinnett County. I ain't buying nothing from them because they can care less about the black community. So your race, you could be married to whomever. It's what you do. It's what you do that matters. Okay, let me see. And I missed a bunch of comments. Thank you. Maybe we can do it in South DeKalb. I do believe that South DeKalb is a place that we definitely can do it in. That's why I came back over there. They plenty of black businesses online. Oh, there are plenty of black businesses online, and you can. Being online is really evening the playing field. Huge. It's a huge, like, evens the playing field that allows us to be able to shop black. You have no excuse really. You really don't. Your only excuse of not shopping black is poor planning, basically. Poor planning. You should be able to go online and buy black hair care products. You should be able to buy, toilet papers, razors, everything from a black-owned business. There's really no excuse. Um, Great city if you know who to do it right. Don't think I understand that one. Great city if I think he's saying that the leadership of the city can make it right, make it work, and you're right. You gotta have great leadership in order for it to work. So if you look on that topic, why even push a black or white business? Oh, so if that's your look on that topic, why you push? Well, see, the reason why I still would push on a black or white business is because it's just we are superficial. A black person is going to be more apt to do things for the black community. A white person is more apt to do things for the white community. We've been conditioned in this world to think along the lines of depth of melanin. So because we have, our actions then are dictated based on that. So when I do see a white business coming into the black community or Asian business or whomever, most of the time, if I see them, they will take the money out. They won't live there. They won't send their kids to be educated there. They really are there just for the money grab. So even though hermetically, you're right. Hermetically, there's no such thing as race. It shouldn't really matter. But the divine paradox in the law of mentalism says that even though I know it doesn't matter, because of the physical world, the natural world that we live in, it does matter. And since we have to live in both the physical and the mental, the physical and the spiritual world, we have to understand that there are certain things that we still have to do on this plane of existence. And based on this plane of existence, in order for us to elevate, to get to a point of power where we can then live on a higher spiritual plane, we have to handle it on the physical plane. That is why the law of correspondence says, as above, so below, but as below, so above. As within, so without, as without, so within. So we still have to work it on both planes of existence. So although it would be great if we could just do business with people who are just good business owners and who are developing the community to which their business is in, regardless of their race, that would be Pangea. That would be, well, not Pangea. I forgot the word. Anyway, that'd be heaven. That'd be Eden. That'd be heaven. That'd be Shangri-La. That'd be whatever you want to call it. That would be that. But we don't exist in that world on the physical plane. We don't. So we have to handle it on this physical plane in such manner. And and here's the thing. Because we're on this physical plane, we can't get respect until we do it. Until we do it, until we control that dollar based on the law, the rules that have been dictated by those in power now, until we show our power, we can't get the respect to be able to then build our community so that we can start working on higher planes of existence. Government programs don't happen without white. They don't. And I'm not trying to give white people all this power or credit. It's just the way it is and the way it happened. But now, so what? That's the way it is. So what? That's the way it happened. Now it's our responsibility to do what we need to do in order to make everything work. I shop black all the time. Look, Mr. Intensity. Oh, I'm not sure I get that one. My contact is drying out on me. I haven't had as much water as I should have had today. Sorry, I kind of disagree with black-owned businesses pushing when you're never gonna know what black, white, Chinese conscious. Well, I mean, and that's your right, Linda. You don't have to agree with that, with pushing black-owned business. Now, I push black-owned business, but I also push black-owned business to do good business, though. Just because you're black, I'm not going to shop with you. Do you have a good business? Do you have good service? Is it clean? Is it, it has to be up to the standards. If it's not, like, if I go to a black-owned business and they have like a 70, if it's a restaurant and they have a 70, I'm not eating there. I don't care. You can be black as night. You can have on all the African garb you want. You can have African songs, Jamaican reggae songs playing in. I don't care. You can have 12, 15, 11 different little black kids that you putting through college. I'm not eating at your 70. But you do business, you do good business, not business, then I can work with you. But so there is a level there. Don't laugh. You got jokes. But there is a level. I mean, it has to be on par. So I do challenge black business owners. Quit doing this half business. You know, that's why I did that video a while back, and some people got mad at me because I said, stop being mad at the Rothschilds and actually learn from the Rothschilds so that you can do things the way they did it. So that in 200 years, your family is super wealthy and controlling geopolitics. You know, you ain't going to beat them, so join them. Get your seat at the table. Is Kevin Wesley a spiritual person? I think you should ask Kevin that question. But I would say he does have a spirituality about him. It ain't the same as everybody else's. But that's a question for him, not me. Because I'm not going to speak to another person's spirituality. Josh, not worth getting too caught up in race, coach. I just build with whoever's doing work and good. And that's the goal, is just to build with people who are willing to build. And that's all. I don't, here's the thing. We build a temple of learning. And then a Christian church want to join in and say, like, man, you know what? Y'all really doing something great for the community. We want to, how can we, build together? Come on. White church, come on. Jewish synagogue, come. Let's go. Let's build. As long as the intention is in the right place and the work is actually done, I don't care. The government, after a while, the government will want to come alongside. Everybody want to come alongside when you're doing something good and they see that they can get a benefit out of it, But we just have to get our seat at the table so that we can influence what's going on in that community. No, I'm not eating at no 70s. And we do need more black business owners, because that's how you change the mentality of the community, is they have to see it. People have to see stuff. They have to see they have to see their neighbor building the business. That was one of the big things for me growing up in Marietta. It was like the store across the street from my house was owned by Mr. Mann. His last name is Mann, M-A-N-N. But it was Mann's store. But I knew him. I knew his sisters. His sisters knew my mother, and they all grew up together. So it's like, this was a guy. He wasn't just a business owner. He was a guy that I knew. A guy who graduated like 4 years ahead of me, named Daryl. He started out a barbershop, and then he bought the building. Then he bought all these, built all this land. Built all these condos and not condos, townhouses. But Daryl, for me, I know the guy. I knew the guy. So it was like, I saw somebody who went to the same high school that I did, get out of high school, didn't go to college, developed his trade, built the business, and it was very successful. I saw that a lot growing up in Marietta. So it made a huge difference in me as to what I thought I could do. And if kids are seeing that, it'll make a difference in what they think they can do. Because as long as they think they can do it, they can do it. So that's why it's vital that people who look like them build a business. I know I'm not trying to get caught up on race, but we do live in this existence where race matters. It doesn't exist, but it does exist. Because it matters to people, it exists. So therefore, our kids have to see that. Because they see people that look like them, and they will emulate what looks like them. Black business by black business, day by day. We can do it. My business is based in San Francisco, California. There's barely any black business in there. What kind of business are you in? I'm curious. I love business personally. So what kind of business are you in? Have you ever had anybody ask you about evidence for the spiritual or the supernatural? Not really. I don't get challenged like Kevin does, to be honest. I accidentally got challenged tonight on some other guy's podcast, and he wants to do a show with me, and he actually want to do a show with Kevin. So but I usually don't get challenged like that. I'm so historical on things, and when I start talking about the Hermetics, Hermetics just makes sense. Beyond the spiritual aspect of it, just makes logical sense. It makes sense. So I don't really get a lot of challenges on that. Now, I don't know why. But no, it seems like my neighborhood is set up by and designed. It's more Chinese restaurants in black neighborhoods. And you know what's interesting about black Chinese restaurants in black neighborhoods? They don't run commercials. They don't hardly do billboards. They don't advertise worth of nothing. But yet, they stay in business forever. We just show up. I want to see a black person open up a Chinese business, Chinese restaurant. Call it Blackanese or Blasian. They're actually in one part of Atlanta. What part is that? Roswell. There's a guy. It's called Blaxican. It's like a Mexican soul food blend. Yeah. But Chinese is good. I had some tonight. I had some good lo mein. It was okay. It was okay. I ain't gonna say it was good. It was great, but it was okay. It was good enough. There's nothing wrong with building your own kind. Every other race does except us, and we're the only race in this situation. Now, other races do it. Now we got to start giving some credit though, Reginald. There are a lot of black people who are building businesses in the black community. So we gotta start giving those people credit. We gotta start talking about those. We gotta start pushing those people. You know, we can't say that no, we're not doing it, because there are some of us who are doing it. There are the ones of us who are doing it, and we have to acknowledge that. I met a young man last night. Was it last night? Yeah, last night, I believe. He was a Marine. I'm a Marine, so you know we just hit it off right off the bat. But this young man started a moving company. All of a sudden, got into a niche, and he's profiting big time. But guess what? He is not structured correctly. He is not structured correctly at all. I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to tell you what his company is. I'm not going to give you any of that information because we haven't talked that way. But he is set up to be sued out the butt. But worse than that, he is set up to have such a huge tax liability. Even though he's making money, he's still in a sense doing bruh business. He's doing business. He's not really, he got to get into business. Got to understand how to set up his companies in structures that protects him and protects his tax liability. You know, we got to get into that kind of mindset. You know, we think that all those things are above us, or things that white people do, or that big businesses do. We can do these things, and we have to start thinking that way. And the first part is getting our personal income. Dim sum, black sum, getting our personal income straight. Yeah, that'll be an interesting name for a black Chinese restaurant. Dim sum, black sum. I shopped a black business, and they charged me $7 for 32 dip art water. I could have went to Sam's for $3. Yeah, and see, that's ridiculous. They charging you $7. That's crazy. That's crazy. Now, I wonder what the situation was. You want to say something wrong?
More than likely, because if it's a...
Say it louder so people can hear you.
Black-owned business, like a convenience store or a grocery store, they might charge more because they're not...
Well, they're not getting the bulk. Yeah.
Of a Sam's.
That's true.
So...
But, okay, I'm going to speak to that. Okay, so what Shay was saying over there, side conversation. She was saying that the reason why they was charging $7, one of the reasons possibly they were charging $7 versus the $3 that you can get at Sam, is because they're not getting the bulk rates. Because they're not buying in bulk quantities, they're not able to get the bulk rates. And that's true. That does happen. If you dealt with anything in manufacturing or wholesaling, the more you buy, the cheaper you get it. And Sam's, of course, is huge, so they're buying for companies locations all over the country, all over the world. So they're getting the best rate possible. Two things are going to happen. Either the black business is just going to have to stick through it and keep charging at their rate until they can, or what they really need to do is suck it up. Suck it up and look at and say that they're willing to either break even or take a loss on the water. And I'm going to tell you why in just a second. Let me read a couple of these comments, and I'm going to tell you why I'm explaining that, because I think we really need to understand this. See, commercial mobile maid service. I'm a former retail manager from a high school teacher. Wanting to work to running cleaning business is something I could, and running a clean business is good. I did that for a little while. It wasn't for me, but that's a great business to get involved in because it is a low overhead. You just got to make sure that you can keep your people good. And if you're running a cleaning service, I want to ask you a question: are your people 1099? If they're not 1099, you need to change that. They need to be 1099 employees. And there's a few other things that I would question, ask you how you're set up on that one. I'm done ranting, Coach. I really respect your I lost you. Where did it go? Respect your business mind. You're inspiring. Don't go nowhere, Linda. I'm finna explain why they charging you that $7. Not to be negative, but at this point, we playing catch up. We so far behind. We are playing catch up, and we are far behind. But that just means we just got to run faster and harder. And with the internet, we're in the internet world. We can catch up. It's not as hard as you think. That's why I'm going to Botswana so we can nation build and give us a strong foundation. $7. You better hold your hand in the bathroom faucet. All right, y'all crazy. Let me see if I can catch up. My point was to highlight the fact that there is no other reason. Right, and you're right. Now I understand what you're saying, Rachel. I'm with you. And we do have to play catch up, and there is a lot that we have to do, and we have to change the mindset. I mean, that mindset has been ingrained, but it could change in 40 years. 40 years. We just have to have the patience and the consistency to do it. Is it wise to use your home as collateral for a business loan? Wait a minute, I'm going to get to that one. Okay, they're $10.99, I guess. Let me explain the $7 real quick, and then I'm come to the home part. $7. How many of you guys know of Costco's? You've been to Costco's or Sam's, right? Costco's have that thing that since the 1980s, Costco has done that $1.50 hot dog and drink. And here's the thing. Even though they went from the Nathan's hot dog to the Kirkland hot dogs, the Kirkland hot dog is actually healthier for you, as healthy as a hot dog can be, healthier for you because it's all beef than the Hebrew Nationals that they were doing. And also the dog has gotten bigger since they started this in 1984. But they've maintained a price of $1.50 that entire time. Now, as you know, inflation happens every year. So, of course, it's costing them more money to produce that little meal than it does for you to than the money they're making on. They're actually losing money on the hot dog, right? On the hot dog meal. But their model, and this is a good business model, is that they're willing to take the loss on the cheap hot dog meal to get you in the door so that you go and buy the more higher priced items. If you notice, unlike Sam's, Costco will let you come in there and get the lunch and you don't even have to be a member. But they want to get you in the door so that they can hopefully get you as a member. So they have consistently taken a loss on their hot dogs. Do you know that Costco sells more hot dogs than all the Major League Baseball stadiums combined in a year? They sold over 128 million hot dogs last 2 years ago. In 2015, they sold 128 million. So what that grocery store should do is take the loss on the water by selling it for the same price because it's cheap, and really water has a huge margin on it, but they can sell it for $3, probably break even, or even if they took a small loss just to get you in the door to buy you the rest of the stuff. See, that's business. Knowing when to take a loss and when not to take a loss, right? That's good business. And they're not doing good business by doing that. You know what? And just by saying that to myself just made me think about something in my own business that I need to draw people in on something similar to that. There's a similar draw that I'm going to do. I'm going to initiate in my company tomorrow for that exact purpose. But that they're not thinking that way. And so that black business needs to retrain because they're trying to get all the money they can, because more than likely they're living off every dollar that comes. They're living transaction to transaction more than likely. And if they are, they got to get their personal money right so that they can be able to develop a true business. They have to suck it up and take those hits so that they can get people in the door. Okay? All right, so what was it? Okay, is it wise to use your house as collateral for a business loan? Yes and no. And I'm going to say this very easily. You should be able to use your house as collateral for a business loan, but the house shouldn't be in your name. You should have 3 different kind of trusts that you can set up. You should have your house, you should set up a trust, put the house in the trust, and then utilize the house to fund your business that's also in the trust. So that the collateral for the house is based on that, but it shouldn't be in your name. Okay? That's the simple way to say that real quick. You got to go do the research for the rest of it, or you can join my financial program and then I can help you with it. But so financial alchemy, that's one of the things we do in financial alchemy, that in my financial alchemy program. It's about building wealth. All right, it's not just fixing your credit and getting you in the understanding of budget and monetary flows, but it's also about building wealth and the different tricks and trades that people utilize in order to build wealth. So yes, you use your house, but your house should not be in your name where it's a liability to you, where you own it. Because if anything happens to you personally, somebody can take your house and take your business since they're all connected. But if it's in a trust, then they can't touch it. They can't touch it. So it's a totally different situation. So that's the short answer of that one. And there's a lot to go into that one. Josh, is there a point in trying to advance your race rather than just focus on yourself, direct family, and some friends? You know what, Josh? In that one, I'm going to answer it this way. The Temple of Learning, I'm not doing it to save America, black people. I'm not doing it to save the world. Going to Botswana, it ain't about all y'all. It's about me and my children. That's it. My original thought process on that was me and my children. And now that Shay's in my life, is, you know, Shay and her children. That's it. I'm trying to save them. I'm trying to save the 3 young men from the fear of a police brutality. I'm trying to save the 3 girls from having to go through craziness and their choices being raggedy jokers. I mean, there are women who are raising boys to be men that they wouldn't even want themselves. So I'm not trying to save the world. I'm just trying to save like 8 people. But the things that I'm willing to do to save the 8 people will benefit thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions if people realize it, if people can come to it. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to save 8 people. That's it. And that don't even include my mother, my brother, my sister, cousins, all them jokers. All right? So if we focus, because saving the world is too big. Saving Black America is too big. But I do what I do for my family. I do what I do for myself. It just so happens that what I want to do for my family and for myself could benefit a large mass of people. Because if I thought about it as a world thing, it'd be too much for me. It's too much pressure. It's too much for any one person. You know. That Sam's at Stonecrest went out of business. It would be great if some black businesses put resources together and purchase the building and can make it a black marketplace. That would be. So what you should do is you should put together a business plan for that and then start shopping it or do like a internal IPO in order for you to do it and get the investment of the community to be able to go and do that instead of somebody. Why don't you be the somebody? Okay. You can do it. There, Asha. I wish we could get a black supermarket in that space because you can. Just got to get started. You know, once you get started on something, you'll be surprised. It may take you 5 years, 10 years to do it, but you'll be surprised at what will happen. You put it all together. You start putting it out there. You start getting people behind you. All of a sudden, that momentum starts. You'd be surprised. How can we join the Financial Acumen course? Go to coachrenz.com and then go to the life coaching page and you'll see the link for joining Financial Alchemy and you can get started. And as soon as you do, there's work that I will send you to get started, to get it done. And I'm going to say to those people who haven't done the first part again, I'm sending y'all some hate mail because, you know, I was working on my store, but guess what? It's up, it's running. I'm training employees. So now I'm about to kick some tail for the people who hadn't sent me the information to get started and hadn't done the prerequisite videos. How can you own a house and not under your name? By putting it in a trust. You take the house, you start a trust, and you're the director over the trust. Then the house becomes owned by the trust, and you directing it. So that's how you own the house, but it's not in your name. You control the house. You're not owning it. You're controlling the house, but you control the trust, and it's not in your name. And then that way, that's how you own a house, but it's not in your name. So they can't touch you. You ever wonder why OJ was able to still be rich even though he lost the civil lawsuit? Because he had his retirements and all these other things in the trust. And then we can talk about solo 401ks and self-directed 401ks. And if you got kids, about certain types of IRAs for your kids and all these other things. And depending upon what industries and things you want to do to build wealth, there's a bunch of other tools to use. Lorenzo, I know this is off topic, but do you still maintain that the Hebrew was written at... That is not what we was talking about tonight. But I would, but I mean, here's the thing about historical evidence, dude, just so that you can understand. And I want to say this. I was never going to say this, but I need you to change your YouTube name because I have a hard time. I have a hard time taking someone serious whose call name, and I'm not trying to be funny, man. I'm really not. I'm really not. But if you look at the name, Reese Digital, Josh, you know, Andrea Rush, but Bougie Boo Boo Winkle, that's hard for me to take you serious. I don't know. Maybe they called you Boo Boo when you was a kid, but you're a grown man now. Stop calling yourself that. That I never wanted to say that, but there's a part of me that's just driving me crazy. So, man, please change that, okay? Because you actually make good comments. I see some of your comments. You make good comments, but every time I see the name, I'm just like, I ain't responding to that. And that's just me. That's a me thing. And I could be dead wrong about that. But it's a me thing, so it doesn't matter. That's just how I feel about it. But do I contend that, look, here's the thing. Historical evidence shows that Ptolemy said in 321, Ptolemy was like, hey, let's put this together to Septuagint. And then the Septuagint was created during that time frame. Whether the letter was written or not, whether he released some of the Hebrews or not, all those other speculative things, none of us were there. But that's what the historical evidence shows. Now, prior to that, was there a Hebrew Bible that was going around? Nobody's found one. Nobody has one. Not a complete one, not a complete version. Are there some scrolls? Sure, there's some scrolls here and there. Of course there were. But there was nothing complete. But he wanted a complete thing because if you understood the Greeks back at that time, every time somebody came into Egypt, they demanded that all books and manuscripts be taken from them and put into the Library of Alexander's, or copies be made and put into the Library of Alexander, because it wasn't so much about the Hebrews. They could care less about the Hebrews. They were just another group of people. They just wanted all the knowledge in one space because they recognized the importance of knowledge. Because these were the guys who studied under Aristotle and Socrates, Plato. Well, Aristotle, but it was Socrates, Plato as well, prior to that. But these guys understood the value of knowledge. And when they went to India, they understood the value of knowledge. So they consumed a lot of info. So historically, they claim that that's what they did, as much as anybody historically claimed anything else. So it doesn't matter about my belief. What matters is that that's what the evidence shows. Now, as far as a Hebrew Bible prior to that, that's fine. If there's pieces of scroll here and the pieces of scroll there, but just like there's over 200,000 Sumerian tablets and cylinder seals that existed long before any piece of scroll ever existed, and they tell a story that is more detailed and more intricate than the Hebrew story, but the Hebrew story sounds like the cliff notes of their story. So at the end of the day, there's something older, but it's still stuff that people wrote down. Self-preservation. Josh said, I feel the same, Coach. My logic is if everyone focused on getting their own house in order, we'd be fine if we just focus on our own house. Oh yeah, okay. And Antonio, how you doing, Lorenzo? I forgot to speak to you and say hello. My next question is about how your credit status in reference to. My next question, how about your credit status? Status in reference to starting a business. Well, your credit reference, do you mean people references, or you mean your actual credit? Because if we're talking about your actual credit, that's a little bit different. Depending upon your business, depending on what you need, I would have to kind of know more about that one. Okay, so the name is in honor of two daughters that are not with me anymore. You might be able to get over it. Then deal with the comment instead of the name. Hey, like I said, respect due. I could be wrong. I don't mind being wrong. I can easily say I'm wrong. I don't have a problem with that. And in respect to your two daughters who are not with you anymore, hey, I apologize for the comment. But I was on the outside looking in. But I appreciate you explaining that. So I won't say anything negative about it. But like I said, that was just me in dealing with it. I'm thinking grown man, but cool. I get it. I apologize for any disrespect that you may feel that I may have given you towards your two daughters, that I had no idea about the situation. But now that I do, I give you respect for that. As far as dealing with the question, dealt with. Josh, don't you start nothing. There's no, there's no question mark at the end of the statement, but you're welcome. His name shouldn't matter, just the content of his character. The name shouldn't matter. But like I said, that's just me. Things like that matter to me. Things like that make a difference. Like when my kids were born, I was very specific in choosing their names, because I understand the world we live in, and things like that matter to people and how they are able to move and advance in this world. So it mattered to me. So just like things matter to you, they matter. But anyway, let's move forward. No one has found the original LXX. Your argument is self-defeated. Okay. If you're going to say that no one has found the original, and that makes your argument self-defeated. No one has the original writings of Josephus, but you're still claiming that he wrote about Jesus, wrote about Jesus, even though we know it wasn't written until 300 years after he died. No one has ever found an original Bible manuscript, but you still claim it and believe in it, because nothing was written during there's no writing that occurred when Yeshua was walking around, but you still believe it. No one has an original Torah that was written by Moses, theoretically, or Joshua during that time, but you still claim it. You cannot use a logic to get rid of one argument of historical data but then not use it for your own. So if you're going to claim that, then claim it. Claim it throughout the entire thing. If you're saying that there has to be an original document in order for something to be validated, then utilize that for the Bible. And if you do, then the entire Bible is invalid. The entire Torah is invalid. And if the entire Torah is invalid, that also means that the Christian Bible is invalid. The Islamic Quran is invalid. So you might want to choose that argument a little bit differently, because at the end of the day, you're talking about what one man wrote about another man who wrote about another man who wrote about another man. Because 127 different historians who were adults during the time that Yeshua supposedly walked around, and not one of them wrote about him. Come on, man. The first writing you get is almost 100 years after the man. So, whatever. Y'all don't think about y'all comments sometimes. Your actual credit. Your actual credit in starting a business is only going to matter if you need money. If you need to go get money, then your actual credit is going to matter, right? And if your credit score is like below 620, 650, then you're going to have a hard time, and you might have to take some of like the worst loans possible. Other than that, you would have to go get personal angel investors. They may not care as much about your credit. More than likely, they're not going to. But you have to seek them out, find them, and convince them. Of course, they're going to want a piece of the pie, though. So if you want to start a business and you need to get bank money, which is not a bad thing, getting loans is a great thing. If you're going into debt to build something, then go do it. Go do it easily. You should make, what is Josh saying? You should make me a moderator in here, Coach. No, Josh. No. Thanks for trying to answer. I didn't try to answer. I answered it. It's very simple. Whatever argument you use to discount somebody else's scholarship or historical data, you have to use the same for your own, right? That's like, do what I say, not what I do. That doesn't work. So now you're arguing against your logic that, no, I'm not arguing against my logic. I'm arguing against your logic. You see, I recognize that we're not going to have the actual data, the actual originals of everything. But here's the thing about it. Even if we did, in certain things, especially when we talk about back in those cultures with the way that society was, even if you did, you know what? Better example. This is why in those time frames, you still take a little bit of skepticism to something that's original documents. Constantine. I'm going to say this very short and very because I ain't got time to spend on it, because I did a whole video about it called How Many Lives Does It Take for Constantine? Battle of Moldavia, Constantine against Maxentius. Constantine defeats Maxentius. At that battle, Caesar, Eusebius of Caesarea just writes that he beat his butt, plain and simple. Then Constantine built his arch. His arch is built. There's nothing on there about Jesus. Apollo's there, Mithra's there. No crosses on the shield, no Jesus in the sky, no vision, no dream of Jesus. But then 13 years later, when he's courting the Christian bishops in order to make them a straight up religion that's not penalized in Rome, in Milan, which he writes the Edict of Milan, all of a sudden then he tells this story. And guess what Eusebius? He records that that's what happened. But in Eusebius' first writings, he didn't record that. You mean the man is going to forget that he had a vision from a God that said that do this in my name and this symbol you will conquer? Then all of a sudden 13 years later, he said, oh yeah. And then he claims that his soldiers saw it, but his monument, he puts none of that. And in every artifact of Constantine after that, he's either Apollo or Mithra, one of those two. And so original document, I think not. So yeah, and we can go through all kind of historical things where that happens. So yeah, whatever, man. At the end of the day, you can't prove it. And at the end of the day, what the Sumerians wrote is just something they wrote. I wasn't there, nor was you. And here's the thing, we fight and argue over this. Other people on here talking about building community, making life better. Instead of worrying about a hell on earth, they trying to make heaven on earth. But you're concerned about what some dude, some Greek dude who conquered Egypt way back in the day may have written, may not have written, and you worried about whether or not you're going to get some pie in the sky instead of worrying about the fact that there's black people being shot in the streets right now, that there are black women who are trying to take care of a household by themselves because the system has set them up to make sure that the man is not in the house with them. You worried about whether or not you get down on your knees and some sky daddy going to bless you instead of worrying about, can we feed these children that are growing up? What are we going to provide and leave as a legacy for our children? You worried about something that's ethereal instead of something that's right in front of your face. That's my problem with you, with guys like y'all. Y'all so ready to argue, but you're never ready to build anything. To hell with all this religious argument. Can we get to building something first? Do you not see the guns that's in our faces? Do you not see that you can be walking down the street, but if a white person thinks that they don't like the way you walk, that they call the police and the police is on your ass? Do you not see that? But you too worried about this black man said my Jesus don't exist. Man. Oh, sorry, y'all. I apologize. I'm going to get back to myself.
Okay, get back spirit.
Okay.
Get back spirit.
Get my get back spirit. Abraham, look, I'm not going to that religious stuff tonight. I care less about that tonight. I'm done with that. Tonight, it's about building. All right? I care less. No more religious crap. You want to talk about that? You go to a religious page. I don't even know why you're here. Go to a religious page. So y'all can be like, yeah, amen, brother, you right. Why didn't Rome priest and a few royalty write about it? Exactly. They didn't write about it. Wow, China and Europeans are taking, exactly. We worried about this stuff while China, they taking over. Do you know that as I'm researching, doing more research for Botswana, do you realize how much China is now investing in Botswana? Now, you know they're not putting their money over there if they don't think that they're going to make their money back. And look at how much money they gave Akon for putting up all that solar power. There's a return on all of that. So we best pay attention. All right. I'm not gonna lose it, Antonio. You know, we trying to do something that helps people, that builds community, and there's these people that seem like they have nothing in life but to let me go find somebody who disagrees with my religious belief, but that does nothing for us. That's wag the dog, man. That is wag the dog, straight up wag the dog. That when I was in the Marine Corps, one of my jobs was to teach leadership and teach warfare combat, and it was nation building and how to disrupt the nation. And one of the things about disrupting a nation, that's why I love Black Panther, because when I was watching Killmonger, I was like, man, damn, I used to do that kind of work. Not to his level where I killed a whole bunch of people, but we did it as politically, economically. And one of those things is that if we can get into a nation and start dividing the people, if we can keep them divided and distracted, then we can move their government in the way that we want them to go. Now, if you don't realize that that's what's going on in the Black community, been going on in the Black community, let's separate you first, Republicans and Democrats. Okay, now we got you all in the Democratic Party. Let's now separate you by religion. Let's separate you by economics. Let's keep you separated and arguing with one another. Then you will never build anything, and we don't have to worry about you. Think about it. Sun Tzu talked about this in The Art of War, and it's been utilized so heavily. that if you keep us divided, we can never go. Titus, and what Josephus wrote about Titus, Titus said that the whole thing about a house divided will fall. Titus wrote about that. Vespasian's son said that because inside Jerusalem, while he was holding them under siege, he was feeding them information to keep them divided so that they couldn't mount up a defense against the siege of Jerusalem that lasted for a long time. This is an old tactic, and we're falling for it. We got to stop falling for this and realize that we got to build our economics, build our foundation so that we can build our schools, our education, our children, our kids, build our financial systems, build our police protection system. We got to build these things. All right? So let's focus. Let's focus. I got out of focus for a brief moment. That's my fault. I apologize to everybody else for allowing myself to get out of focus. All right? We need the bridges. Exactly. Did you notice that some of the leaders of Africa went over to the Caribbean and they're trying to bridge that gap? They were apologizing for their participation in their country's participation in the slave trade, as well as for keeping the separation, between the people, between the Caribbean and the African diaspora. They were keeping that separation. If you notice, all of this unity is beginning to grow. The African Union they're going to do the free trade, and South Africa and Nigeria eventually will feel the pressure and jump on board. Refineries are being built all over Africa right now in order to refine their own natural resources. The power is there, and Haiti has already been accepted as a member of the African Union. The rest of the Caribbean is going to follow. I'm telling you, in the next 300 years, it's all changing. And the thing about it is, the people who get in early usually reap the greatest benefits of it. So I'm joining in. I'm doing all this, one, because I want my fifth generation to be a part of that, right? So we got to get it. We got to get in there.
That was rescinded.
What? No, it wasn't rescinded. Just because they only needed, you had 44 countries agree to it. You only needed like 24 to agree for it to be ratified.
For them to be a part of the AU?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How Africa is divided by tribe thanks to the Berlin Conference. Yeah, it was. It was divided, but it's being unified, and we'll continue to unify. The free trade is going to do a lot, because let me tell you what unifies people. People being able to eat and work and have money in their pocket, that'll unify some people in a heartbeat. How many streams of income business do you currently operate? Currently, I only operate truly 3. Right? I operate Uncle Ren's Popcorn, Coach Ren's, and I'm just operating, I'm not the owner of, My Naturally Pure. Miss Shay, she owns that one. But under Coach Ren's is all the coaching, the financial alchemy, all those kinds of things. What are your thoughts on black-owned banks? I think that right now, black-owned banks suck for the most part, because they're not offering what's necessary in order to build the black community, to build the community of the people who are putting their money in there. Their requirements are more stringent than white banks. So I think they are doing the black people a disservice. I think they're just touting up, we're a black bank, invest your money in us. But then they're not. And I'm not saying they should just freely give money out to people. People should qualify for it, but there are different ways to qualify for it. I'm gonna break something down for you guys. One thing, this is one of the aspects of building the temple of learning. Eventually, we'll open up a bank, right? We'll open up a bank. Let me tell you how it's gonna work. All right. The bank is going to work this way. I'm going to give you the short version. First, if you put your direct deposit in this bank, then the first thing we're going to do is give you, you put your direct deposit in the bank. Then you have to take a class. Basically, it's a financial class, teach you how to budget your money correctly and how to spend and how to build your credit. Once you complete that class, should only take you about a week or so to complete the class. We're going to give you a credit card that is at a credit limit of 10% of your annual income. Now, if you show that you can manage this credit card effectively by using it, but use it correctly based on what we taught you for a year, then we will guarantee you a 100% loan on a home, and I know some people are going to be younger, a home or a car. We'll go ahead and finance it for you, 100%, because you've proven yourself worthy of it. Now, once we finance you that, if you do well with that for the next 2 years, and you present a business plan that is acceptable to the board or whoever, how we set that up, depending on how big we are, then we'll 100% finance your business as well. That is my approach to banking, right? In order to get people involved. But there's a lot of education, but then you got to prove yourself behind all that. And it's probably going to be an international bank because American banks is one that takes, you got to have like 20 million, is it 20 million? 10 or 20 million, and get a charter for an American bank. But
you gotta have that even in reserve.
Yeah, and that's in reserve. So Shay's a banker, but to be able to go to, but there are other countries where it's not as stringent, but we can still offer those programs, and they can be just as secure as these other, as an American bank. America ain't got everything on lock.
Give the example of Navy Federal.
Yeah.
What they do.
But yeah, like Navy Federal have pledge loans, which I told you guys before. I use that to increase. But also Navy Federal has a program. I'll make sure I'm saying it right because I'm getting the eye over here. Because I love Navy Federal. I was in the Marine Corps. I love Navy Federal. Navy Federal has a program where if you move your direct deposit to Navy Federal and your direct deposit are $3,500, $3,200 or more, it has to be $3,200 for the next 6 months, and your credit score gets up to 640. They guarantee you a signature loan of $40,000. You see, that's the kind of banking that helps people. But see, black banks aren't doing these pledge loans. They're not doing those kind of things. And if they were doing those kind of things, then they can help the community more. But also you got to teach people. But see, Navy Federal saying that you got to prove that you can handle your credit and handle your money in order to get this. But yeah, I'm planning on starting with a bank. I'm a member to one, and there's not enough respect from them. There's not enough. I went to a black bank to find out where I needed to be in order to get a business loan, and I told the lady, I said, I can go to Fifth Third and get it way before you guys at a better interest rate. So yeah. Do you consider weed a good business investment? I do, honestly. Now, not those the buying the stocks and stuff. I'm a little leery on those. What I consider a good investment in the weed business is actually going to the states where it's legal and getting involved with either like edibles or becoming a grower or opening up a smoke shops or dispensaries. I think there's tons of money in that, but also getting yourself ready for states that will be coming online over the next few years. Like I think Texas is closed, Georgia is going to get there, Florida is closed. Getting yourself ready for those states is also a good thing to do. Okay, spoken word. They aren't offering anything. No, they're not. And that's why I want to do my version of it. Black-owned banks are an important idea, and certainly it takes sacrifice on both parts. Careful preservation and guarding people's money and investment is important. Small ones can't afford big risk. And that's a good point. Small banks are more risk averse. I get that. But you can still assist people in different ways. I mean, Navy Federal is not a huge bank. Most credit unions are not, but the credit unions are doing things like what I was explaining with Navy Federal that is benefiting those military families, right? But you do have to prove yourself. But the black banks aren't offering those things. And that's what they got to stop trying to imitate what the big banks are doing and recognize how they can help build people instead. And that's my thing. They need to build people. And if people don't prove themselves, then they don't get it. Now, that's the other part. The person has to take the responsibility of proving themselves. How do you handle defaults? I mean, defaults on your credit. I have a letter. I have letters that I send out that I can send out. Well, if you was in my credit program, you would be sending the letters out. But I have default letters to help you. I have letters for if you got slow pays and all these other things.
You said, how will you think of default?
Oh, how will
you did the bank?
Oh, I'm sorry. I got lost in because you was asking a credit question earlier, so I thought that was a credit question, and I'm trying to do too many things at one time. How would I handle defaults? Well, here's the thing. Defaults is going to be part of the problem. That's going to be part of your situation. And first, we have to look at the situations individually. Maybe the person is defaulting simply because they lost their job or something traumatic happened. So I would want to be able to take individual. I don't like that. You know how you got the blanket situation? We're not going to do the blanket. I'd rather spend the money on the resources of humans. Because like when you call my bank, it's not going to be an answer machine ever. You're going to get a human. I can't stand those machines. But thing about it is we're going to handle it individually and see how we can help you and help you get back on track. So let's say that you've been having a credit card, you've been doing good for like 10 months, and all of a sudden something happened, and then you got thrown off. Well, we want to sit down with you and say, okay, we see what happened. You lost your job, or you had this family emergency. Let's see how we can get you back on track. Once we get you back on track, we ain't going to start you back at the 10 month, but we're not going to start you over. We're going to go, give me 6 good months, and you back, and you good, you know. But if you just completely default, then we're just going to say, okay, here's your default, and we got to follow the rules for if somebody defaults at that point, and say that, okay, well, we have to close down your account and all that other kind of thing. You know, whatever, what we have to do. It's not like a free-for-all where everybody wins. This ain't, you know, like participation sports. But I want to handle it individually. Do you think 50 years old is too old to start thinking about buying a house? Heck no. Dude, you probably going to live another 50 years. Probably another 60 or 70 years. So, no, 50 years is not too old to start thinking about buying a house. Now, the way you buy the house might be totally different. Me personally, if I was buying a house right now, I would probably go and find me about 10 good tax liens that I like and see which one I can get. And I would buy a tax lien. And then in a year, that house belongs to me. But there's some research you got to do before you just buy a tax lien. You're just going to buy one. Say, ooh, this one's only $3,000. I'm going to buy this tax lien and I'm going to own this house. And next thing you know, in order to deed the house over, you owe like $20,000. So there's some research to go with it first. But 50, even if you're doing a conventional one, you can, 50, no. Now, unless you're one of those people who got the mindset where I want to retire when I'm 65 and all that kind of stuff, and then you're just going to live on fixed income, but you want to have this mortgage, that's a totally different story. You need to set up your money. You need to get income flow that keeps up and beyond inflation if you want to sit back and relax. Now, me, I'm never going to stop working. So I can be 80 and buy a house because life don't exist and I'm not running a business of some sort. Yeah, I don't even understand how that works. That's illogical. Black banks don't have the capital. Well, one of the reasons why they don't have the capital is because they're not getting deposits. And one of the reasons they ain't getting deposits is because they don't have programs that's designed to help the people, to help them grow. You see, that's the thing. The bank has forgotten that they were there to help people grow and develop. Have you guys watched the movie The Big Short? I've watched that movie. And in the very beginning of that movie, they talk about how back in the day, being a banker wasn't a sexy job. It wasn't high profile. You weren't the captains of industry. That bankers were like your neighbor, boring little neighbor dude who was there to help the neighbor. They're not that way anymore. They're just all out for the money aspect of it. But you can get both. That's my thing. You can get both, which is why I developed that whole. I thought about that, how this would work for like 6 months before I actually came to a conclusion of how I would do this. I know of a black bank that gives loans for CDs that they held for collateral. Yeah. And that's pretty much a signature loan. You know, just placing a CD that ain't hardly earning nothing. But when I got a business loan to open up my gym in 2006, that's exactly what we did. We put $30,000 into a CD. They held that CD as collateral and gave me a $150,000 loan to open up the gym. Start small, black bank loans. But yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. Small. That's why I'll take people through the process. Credit card to house to business. Because you need to show your financial maturity in the whole process. And we're going to have classes that they take throughout the whole time frame. And they'll have that ability to call and get help and advice and that sort of thing. How does someone get into your credit program? Go to CoachRenz.com. Wait, is Josh still on here? So Josh, I don't know if Josh on here. I was going to tell him, type this in there, Josh. But go to CoachRenz.com. Shay's over here. So Shay, type in CoachRenz.com. And then click on Life Coach. So Shay's going to type the link of CoachRenz.com. And then just click on Life Coach and you'll see Financial Alchemy. Hey, Coach, do you have a method of removing late payments on credit reports? Yep, we sure do.
Is it Life Coach?
Yeah, Life Coach. But yeah, we have processes to get rid of late payments on your credit card. And see, this is how it works. When you join the program, right? I'll send you a video to watch plus some documents for you to fill out. It tells me about you so I can better coach you. Then you also have to download your credit report and send it to me so we can do the credit review. I don't even want to have the first conversation without knowing what's on your credit, because I don't want to just spout out a bunch of stuff like, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. No, I need to see what you got. Do you have tax liens? Do you have government holds? Do you have slow pays? Do you have, what kind of collections, if you have any collections? There's some things I need to see, because I want your sessions to be good and not a waste of time. How would you avoid the logistical nightmare of individual attention of your bank? I'm not sure I quite understand. How would you avoid the logistical nightmare of individual attention? I don't know why that's not calculating in my head as to your meaning, sir. I'm being thrown off in my own head. So can you ask that a different way? Because I'm not getting. Do you understand what you're saying? You talking about me as a person? How would I handle the attention that my bank would get? Because I'm gonna get cussed out for starting this bank, because the big banks are gonna hate it, because I'm getting all their people. I'm gonna get a ton of their people, so they're gonna lose those deposits, which means that they have to loan out less money when I take all their deposits. And I'm not gonna take all their deposits, but when they lose, if you think about a bank losing 1/8 of their deposits. Bank of America lost 1/8 of their deposits. That's a huge blow to them, and how much money they can loan out, because they can loan. Bank of America, I think, is big enough where they can loan out $1 20 times, right? Which, that's amazing. Banking is like huge fraud. It's a big old scam. Does your program address how to totally dismiss student loans and the amount of should we even repay it? We do address that, but we address it on an individual level. It depends on your student loan that you took, when you took it, how you took it, who's it through. That's why I have to see the credit reports. I know a lot of people say, yes, we can get rid of this, and I need to see the report. I need to know what's on that thing in order to be able to know what to fix it. And then we got stacks and I ain't gonna say stacks and stacks, but we got binders and binders of information that's been researched, and the research continues, because things do change. So we want to make sure. So, I would need to know more of the parameters around the student loans that you took. But student loans, I ain't gonna lie to you, student loans are not easy. They're not easy to get rid of, right? They are two of the most difficult things to get rid of are student loans. Student loans is definitely one, and it's kind of like a tie between medical stuff and medical debt, and but medical debt we can get rid of. Not medical debt. What am I thinking about? Government tax liens. Government tax liens are not easy, but they can be done. We can get rid of them. I got rid of 3 of them off my credit report, so we can get rid of those. Getting a bankruptcy to drop off earlier than normal. That's an interesting one. You gotta.
Well, with that, you suppress your.
Right, we suppress the information. Client profile through the different sources of suppressing information. But then after that, it's also about the timing. There are certain times of the year that makes getting a bankruptcy off your credit easier to do. So there's little stupid stuff. And then there are backdoor ways of getting rid of stuff as well. Going straight to the CEO of like Equifax and TransUnion, of their backdoor ways of going through to them too. Have you ever heard about J.P. Morgan Chase and his mob of Jekyll, his mob on Jekyll Island? Oh yeah, you're talking about the Federal Reserve. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I thought from their perspective, it was brilliant. For the rest of the world, it was a horrible thing, because that was the only way they was going to get a central bank in America at the time. Right, was to gain the Federal Reserve. It wasn't going to just get the Central Bank of America like they've done in so many other countries, like the Rothschilds done in so many other countries. It's going to have to be through another method. The whole way, the system of the Federal Reserve, and you guys, one of these days, me and Shay's gonna take a day off, and we're gonna go to the Federal Reserve Museum, here in Atlanta. It's an amazing thing to see what they're doing. But but I did see that, and the way the Federal Reserve works, it's long sharking, basically. Linda said, that's why I support you and your You're unbelievable in the knowledge you. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm just a big old nerd. I like to study stuff, and I just have a great way of retaining and understanding things. But I appreciate it. Lorenzo, also off topic. Thanks for your military service. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thanks. And I appreciate you, man. I really do. I do appreciate everybody. Even though I don't care if we disagree, as long as we can build stuff together. That's what I really, really care about. I just really care about building stuff. I know. Matter of fact, I don't want everybody to agree with me. I need y'all to disagree because disagreeing actually makes me go and research more. You know, I was just telling Kevin that I've went back and researched more things over the last year or so that I've known him than because I wasn't like using a lot of the information. But then I had to start reusing it again. Looking forward to this replay. I'm sending in my form to my. See, I wasn't gonna call any names out, Eden. I was gonna let y'all slide without calling any names of people who ain't sent in their forms and they and done everything. I wasn't gonna say nothing. But you put yourself out there. Just remember that now. Just remember. But I know you have a great disposition, a great personality, so I know you're not gonna be mad. But yeah, I was gonna talk bad about you. I was gonna be like, you're gonna get that hate mail tonight. Bet totally understand. I am so far behind. What's your thought on the Black Wall Street? You got to go back to the first part. I already talked about Black Wall Street. How it wasn't it was done by force, not by choice, and we got to get to a mindset where we do it by choice. But we can be doing. But now it's black. It's not about building Black Wall Street. It's about being black subcities within cities. How would you handle the logistics of handling each person individually? Oh, I see what you're saying. Handling each person individually when they default. Man, one of the things that I truly am going to be looking forward to setting up in Botswana and in Haiti is call centers. All right, call centers is a very easy way and low cost training method of getting people working. The biggest challenge for youth in Botswana is the fact that the youth are not working. They don't have jobs. But call center jobs is a good get started for them. And of course, I will have different mentorship programs. Now, one of the jobs of these call centers is to handle the banking situation and handle people who are defaulting, people who are having challenges, people who are taking the financial program, the financial testing, and they're having problems passing it. Like if we see a person fail the financial class like 2 or 3 times, then we need to talk with them and see what's the problem. How can we help them? So having call centers in Haiti and Botswana will be one of those things. This is kind of like what I was saying earlier about the grocery store taking a hit on the water. I know I'm going to, as a bank, I'll take a hit on having all these people employed to work the call centers because building this bank, it will make money, but it's not going to be designed to just make money. It's really designed to build. And we'll make money anyway. We'll make money anyway just by carrying that many deposits. We're carrying, let's say the bank at any given moment is carrying $50 million in deposit, which is not a lot for a bank, really, right? Carrying $50 million in deposits, we're still going to be making money. We're still going to be a profitable bank, right? But massive call centers, but those call centers are also designed to help build people. Build those countries, and we'll put call centers here in America too. Even with student loans, which are consolidated, I have excellent credit. Oh, good. And if they are, and the consolidation, I know they sometimes hurt you when you first get a consolidation loan if you went through a consolidation program, but then when you're consistent with them, it builds it right back up. And the thing about it is always maintaining and keep watching your credit. Yes, Brick, you are super late. I'm stopping at 2 hours. I meant to only do this for an hour. Which I have excellent credit. That's why I asked if we even need to pay it back or does it go away at a certain age, senior citizen. I got somebody who's been researching the student loans for me to answer that part. Which is Shay.
I believe it does, and I think it's at 65 or 67.
65. Shay's research says 65 to 67 is when the student loans falls off. So they say you shouldn't ask this question, but how old are you, young lady?
Not that it falls off. It's just that you don't pay the full amount.
It doesn't fall off. You just don't have to pay the full amount back. So you pay an aggregated amount. Yeah, and see, you also want to know, like, some of you guys, like, you say you appreciate, like, the stuff I know. I will easily delegate certain things for other people to research something for me and bring it back to me. And some of the deep diving credit stuff, that's what Miss Shay is doing. And she's killing me with these binders of information. But that's how we do it. It's about teams. It's about building stuff. Leadership is really about, I hate that little term, teamwork make the dream work, and she over there saying it. She's going to drive me crazy with that one. But it's about putting people in. She loves to research this stuff. She loves to research this stuff. So for areas that I was a little soft on, I was like, we both were like, hey, can you look at this, look at that, look at this, look at that, and then we come together and we go over it. And once I go over and get a good, deep understanding of it, then I'm good. But because I'm managing 2 other businesses, you got to employ people. And that's another thing about doing bruh business instead of doing business. We have to learn how to employ other people to do certain work. If you don't, I think if you don't pay your student loans back, it can, it can affect your credit. You got a deferment. And look, here's one thing. There's a friend of mine. She is, how old is she? I'm 46, so she's like 43 now. She takes one class all the time. She's always taking one class, and she has been deferring her student loan since she was 18 years old. She ain't paid one payment on a student loan, and she's in class. She hasn't taken any more student loans, but she's just been paying for one class, making sure she's enrolled. And I guess in Virginia you can do it that way. Some states you may have to take more than one class to defer it, but in Virginia I know it's only one class. But she has not paid a payment on a student loan, and she will probably pass on from this planet without ever paying a student loan. Yeah, it'll be left to her estate, but the way she got things set up, it's not going to really affect her estate that much. And plus, by then, she could actually pay it off now. Why don't you take the easy way out, like Creflo Dollar? What's the easy way? Just build a church. So it can be deferred to the age of. It can be deferred to the age. No, you can keep deferring it. And we're not saying you got to stop deferring your loan. You can keep deferring it. It's just that the amount that you have to pay back drops after 65 or 66. We have to look it up to get the right number. I don't know what the easy way out. You're talking about building a church and then just selling people on hope. I would never do that. What is your position on cryptocurrency? Well, one, if you didn't get in early, I wouldn't even bother with it. Two,
is that Bitcoin?
Yeah, Bitcoin is one of the style of cryptocurrency. Man, that is such a gamble. I would never do it because cryptocurrency is just based on how much a person is willing to spend. What's the value? If I go, let's say I got a Bitcoin and I decide that I'm going to buy a piece of bubble gum for it. And Bitcoin, I think, is at 17,000 right now for a Bitcoin or somewhere around in there. Last time I looked at it. And if I pay $17,000 for a piece of bubble gum, then that hurts the value of Bitcoin. So it's based on the perceived value. I would never invest in it. It's just like all those people say, invest in gold. I would never invest in gold. Nobody's on the gold standard anymore. I would never invest in that. Now there's a whole precious metal. You know how much gold you have actual value? So cryptocurrency, all you need is some kind of run on it and it falls apart. And it's all emotion based. Or you just need a couple of governments that decide that we're going to crash this thing because we need to protect our currency, and you're done. So it's not something I would get involved in because it's a made up value. It's not like how De Beers made up value of the diamond, but they're able to maintain that false value because they control like think it's like 80% of the diamond mines or something like that. They're controlling so much of the production and output of diamonds that they can create a false sense of value. Cryptocurrency, there's no one in control. And I understand the idea of all these servers and all this stuff that's going on. China can put together some serious hackers and destroy cryptocurrency if they wanted to. I wouldn't do it. I'd invest in real estate. I'd invest in other style businesses that have actual cash flow. I would do that. But what are your thoughts on stores that charge customers 5 cents for bags? Hell, I've never seen a store that charged 5 cents for bags. But it depends on the store environment. All right, so like where I am now in my store, I've noticed a difference in being inside of a mall than being in a standalone store. People have this thought process that they could just be able to walk up to you and say, can I get a cup? Can I get 3 cups? Can I get 4 cups? Because I want to get some water out the water fountain. Can I have 5 cups? Can I get 2 cups? Because they in there with their family and they didn't buy a drink, so they want some water. And I'm sitting up here thinking like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm paying for them cups. How did a whole sleeve of cups disappear in one day and I don't see the transactions for all those cups? So I looked at my employee. I said, hey, we're not giving away cups anymore. Now, if somebody purchased something from the store and they need a cup, sure, I give it to them. So if you purchase something from the store and you want a bag to put it in and they don't give that as a courtesy, I probably wouldn't shop there anymore, because that's ridiculous. But if you just walking into a store wanting bags, I'm going to charge you for the bag. Y'all still up? Yep, still up for now. What about somebody just sent me this how do I say that? Integrity. The Z Black card. Somebody just sent that to me, and I was looking at it for I looked at it for a few minutes, and I'm trying to remember what I saw. I need a spark plug.
I haven't looked at it.
All right, give me a spark plug. Give me a little bit of information on that Z Black card, because I looked it up, and I'm trying to remember exactly what I saw about it, but I just need that much information, and I'm on it. It's actually just short of 6,000 at the moment. Oh, Bitcoin. Oh, it's at 6,000. Damn, it was at 17,000 not too long ago. I don't remember how long ago it was that I was looking at it. I think it might have been almost a year ago that I was looking at it. See, that's too much. That's too much volatility. That is too much volatility. And let me hit you with this one, Shannon. Most people trust Warren Buffett and what he says as far as an investor. Warren Buffett said about 6 months ago that if he was getting started investing right now, that he would buy as many rental properties as he can afford. He didn't say Bitcoin. He said rental properties that he could afford. What are your thoughts on weed farms? As I said earlier, if I would go to a state that's legal, and I would invest in it. But be careful, like California, they got more weed than they got customers. So, and you can't ship it over state lines legally. But I would investigate the opportunities and go to the state, and the states that's getting ready, that'll be coming online in the next 5 years. I'd go and already start buying up my land and getting ready for it. It's 7 cents a bag here in Chicago. Y'all charge for bags in Chicago? That's ridiculous. Maybe I'm just Southern charm. We don't do that in the South. That's ridiculous. He said 7,000. Okay. Thanks for your honesty. I lost money because of greed in Bitcoin. Yeah, I wouldn't do Bitcoin. We're going to be buying tax liens towards the end of this year. It's buying real estate, buying property, and then, and see, you have to be mindful of certain things. Let me tell you one thing about buying real estate. Because one of the things with buying tax liens, you want to convert them into Airbnbs, right? Airbnb is pretty good. But even if the Airbnb dies away, then you can still convert the house into a rental property. So there's a house in DeKalb County that I like, that I thought, man, that would be a great Airbnb house. So I went and did the investigation. I'm talking go to the business license people in DeKalb County. Guess what you cannot do in DeKalb County? You cannot do Airbnb. So when you get ready to do business work, you got to research. You got to research what you can and cannot do. You got to research all the information. You got to go through your checklist. All right. And if you don't have one, we got to create the checklist. I agree with Warren Buffett. I certainly do myself. I agree with Warren Buffett. That's why we're looking. That's why we'll be buying. What I say? What are we buying? Tax liens. we were buying tax liens, and buying a tax lien. Like I was advising a young lady. If you was at me and Kevin's event last Saturday, the young lady who was singing, I'm gonna mess up her name, Keela, but I was advising her that if she had the patience of 2 years, 18 months to 2 years, to buy a tax lien. And hers was 18 months to 2 years because in order to get enough money to get a decent first tax lien, it's gonna take her about 6 months, right? So, but you go get a tax lien, and then you sit and you wait. But you gotta there's some research that you gotta do before you buy it, right? Let me give you a small thing that is easy for you to understand when it comes to it. Yeah, Wakila, exactly. Thank you very much. You buy the when you see a house. There's a house in East Point, Georgia that I think would be a great house to own, right? You can convert that thing into a 3-part rental property. Now, it has a tax lien on it for 2000.
It's like almost 27.
It's like 20, huh?
20,
like $2,700 tax lien on it from 2017, which means that it's probably gonna have another one coming up. But if you buy it now, you don't have to worry about the next year. But it's gonna have a tax lien of $2,700. But what I did notice is that on the door, it also had a warning from the city of East Point that said that you need to cut your grass and trim the hedges and all that kind of stuff. And they had until the 28th of April to do it. So after the 28th of April, if they didn't do it, the owner didn't do it, and I found out who the owner was. If the owner didn't take care of that issue, then the city of East Point will send somebody out there to clean it. Now, once they do, let's say the people charge $1,000 to clean it. Well, to trim the hedges in the yard and all that kind of stuff. Now, city of East Point puts another lien on it. So even if you went and bought the tax lien for $2,700, when it comes time to deed the house a year later, you got to pay that extra $1,000 before you can get a deed on it. Let's say they had to come out there 6 times. You got to pay an extra $6,000. So you got to find out what those, if it has additional liens from the cities and counties and all those kind of places as well before you buy a tax lien. And even if it doesn't necessarily mean you shouldn't buy it. You just have to say that, okay, if I got to pay $2,700 plus I got to pay maybe another $6,000 in additional tax liens on this piece of property. But I do recognize that it's only going to cost me about $30,000 to fix the house up. And the house would be valued at $160,000, $180,000 after I fix up the house, where my investment into buying this house really is $40,000, but I got $124,000 in equity the day that I own it, so it's still a good investment. So there's research like that, and you need to know how much it's going to cost for you to fix up the house, if it needs any at all. And then there are things you can do while you owning the tax lien. But and then you find out, is you're a deed state, you're a lien state, like there are different rules. How long? So but that's an easy way to buy a house. And I was telling her about that. It's an easy way to buy a house and not have a mortgage on it. Right? I'm in Georgia and she needs a mentor. Tell her to contact me. But yeah, but there are ways of doing these things, and it's not that hard, and you can do them, and you can get these. It's about patience, guys, and having a plan. Like I told you the one for Navy Federal earlier that Miss Shay over there insisted that I tell you guys. If your credit score is not 640, but Navy Federal also needs to see you making $3,200 a month deposits, have the plan to say that I can do that for 6 months and keep my credit score at 640 and above. And then they guarantee you up to $40,000 personal loan. You don't have to take the whole $40,000, And then if you're working with me, I'm gonna tell you, like, okay, why are you taking 40? What's the plan? Because you can't just take 40 just to have it, because you're gonna have a payment of $1,100 a month. So don't just take the thing. Just have a plan of how that money makes you money, so that it covers, that it services the debt. So you have to be able to plan right. Do business, not business. Right? I like watching that on TV. They fix the house and sell it and they make bank. They only got sell one. Oh, you only got to sell one a year. Yeah, I mean, and now those shows, they're good, but there's some things they ain't telling you that's going down in them shows too. And they are set up right. You know, I go to Home Depot, and you know, I've been going to Home Depot a lot, getting my store up and running because they had all kind of plumbing issues going on. And I met a bunch of people who flip houses while I was at the Home Depot over and over and over again. And I'm listening to them, I'm talking to them, and they struggling. They struggling because they didn't properly plan for this. Their estimations were all off. The biggest thing about flipping a house, to me, in my opinion, is your estimations got to be on point. You go and you buy a house, and let's say you get the house for $30,000, and you estimate that it's only going to cost you like $40,000 to fix the house, right? And so you're saying $70,000, and then you notice $110,000 that you can sell the house for. But then you get in there and it wind up costing you $100,000 to fix that house because there were sewer issues that run from the sewer line to the house. And guess what? Once you pass a certain level point, that sewer line is your responsibility. And if you got to dig up a sewer line and replace that, all that, you're screwed, right? So there's just a lot of research that people don't do before they buy one. They just jump into it. And then people have the thought process, well, I'm a handy person. I can do this and I can do that and I can do this and I can do that. Let me tell you something. There were some things that I said about fixing, you know, doing my store. I was like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I had so much going on. I was like, okay, shit, I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it tomorrow. Man, next thing I know, a week now went by. And I never did it, but I could have paid somebody $300 to go take care of it, and it would have saved myself maybe another week and opened up a week earlier. And guess what? That $300 would not have mattered. If you say $300 or open up a week earlier, I paid the $300 to open up a week early because I'm going to make way more than that $300. So there's a mindset that you have when you get ready to do that kind of thing. You got to have a good plan. If you've never done project management, you know, study and read a project management book and then utilize some kind of project man. I don't care if you just use an Excel spreadsheet as your project management to be able to go through your checklist and have everything timed and on a schedule and then have all your documentation right, because you got to have so many insurance indemnities and things like that to protect yourself. And then your corporate structure need to be set up a certain way so that you don't hurt yourself and you don't get like blasted. And if you have multiple properties that you're working on, and then your taxes need to be set up so that you're like a special purpose LLC when you're set doing this thing. You got to get this stuff squared away before you just jump into it because it looked good on TV. I'm not trying to crush your dream at all. But what I am saying is we got to do it in a way that is done expertly, that's business oriented, right? That's how we got to do this. That's the only way we build. We build that way. We have to do things in a way that makes sense. You know, that's just the common way business is done today, and we got to do it that way. So that's what I want you guys to do. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is 12:44. I really only meant to come on here for like 30 minutes to an hour. See what y'all did. See what y'all did. But hey, I really appreciate everybody for coming on here. I appreciate the donations. That's awesome because that's going to go towards the donations are all going towards the Temple of Learning. So that's where it's going to go towards funding Temple of Learning. A portion of the funds from Uncle Ren's Popcorn and coaching and all that kind of stuff is going to go there as well, so that we can build this thing without it having to be dependent. My business is going to help fund it until it start making its own money as a business. Oh, thank you, appreciate it, Sharon. But yeah, eventually, see, the Temple of Learning is going to buy houses and rent houses. The Temple of Learning is going to teach financial workshops and classes at a small price in order to keep it, to fund it, and to pay employees. It will never be like a church where you come in and we ask you to pay tithes or offerings, things like that. There won't even be a donation kind of thing like that happens. It'll be only if you just want to kind of situation. So I look forward to. So that's where so I just want to say that thank you, and that's where your donations are going. Thank you for the lesson. You're welcome. Thank you for the info. You're welcome, Q. And when are you going to, when am I going to have another live show? I have no idea. I just do them. I know I should put it on a schedule, but here's the thing. Right now, with the fact of me opening the store, um, I hired 4 people. 2 of them, when I called to schedule them jokers, they just like never called me back. So now I only had got 2 people, but I gotta get those 2 people trained up, and then I'll find 2 more people and train them up. So I probably can't get on a serious schedule, like a dedicated schedule for a live show, probably until the end of July. At the end of July, I want you to hold me. Who said that? Matter of fact, let me see who said that. Who said that? Who said
Yeah,
that?
we're gonna work on a schedule for you.
Antonio. Um, so I got to catch you when I can. All right. Even though I was about to say Antonio, that I want you to keep me honest to the fact of by the end of July, I'm gonna have a set schedule for live shows. But then somebody over there just said that they gonna go ahead and put me on a schedule. I think they bucking for executive assistant to Coach Renz. I think that's what they trying to get. I think that's the job they trying to get over there. I think that's the scam. They just don't know how much work goes into being executive assistant for Coach Renz, because it's gonna be a whole lot of work. Things that I'm not getting done that I really, really want to get done. Yeah, that executive assistant is gonna be working. But she's gonna put me on a schedule. When she put me on a schedule, then I know. Um, get in on Kevin's show. Good. Yeah, and well, Kevin's gonna have a show this Sunday, so that'd be great. Oh, and well, you guys, no, you can't be a part. You have to be a part of the group. Okay. Brick said, just got to keep refreshing your page until I see them live. I've been told that I'm gonna get on a schedule sooner than the end of July, so just keep refreshing until you see me say when we're gonna do a dedicated live show. The hardest part for me is there's so many things that I like talking about. I want to do live shows about tantra. I want to do about relationships, about meditating, about hermetics, about business and building and money and finances. There's just so many subjects. But I guess I can just spread stuff out and try to maintain the conversation on those subjects. I don't have to have a dedicated show for each individual subject, because that would probably like burn me out anyway. But anyway, guys, this is the longest goodbye in history. So this is weird. If I do like this, you see how the lighting changed just by raising my hand back, and then like the lighting changed. That is weird. That is so cool. It doesn't take much to entertain me. Thank you. I appreciate that. Ooh. Just a vegan. Go ahead with your bad self. I'm 90% vegetarian. I did a decent job today. I just slipped a little bit. Also, you're a virtual assistant? Okay. Well, I don't know how, or if you're on my Facebook, send me a message, Asha, about that. And so I can get your rates and all that kind of things, and what you do. Um, can I get a copy of that show with you and Kevin? Oh, well, I know Josh was on here, but Kevin and Josh are working on ways that people. I told them how I would do it. We're gonna see how they do it, but Kevin put the show. It was really good, and I took over the show. I took over like all of Kevin. My Q&A was supposed to have been like 15 minutes, and I think my Q&A was like an hour. But Kevin did get. He was like, "Nah, go ahead." But I took like an hour of Q&A, right? And we talked about your sacral chakra and your sex energy, sex transmutation. That's why it took like an hour and everything. Oh, Shay just talked to me. But yeah, I'll find out. If you're watching on Sunday, we'll bring that. We'll bring it up on Sunday, Antonio. How do you guard against impulse purchases? I don't know if you can see this. Can you see? This is my 70-10-10-10 plan. 70% necessities, 10% goes into investment, 10% goes into your long-term savings and spending, and only 10% is going into your entertainment. So when your money is dedicated in those categories, then your fun money, when you run out, you're done. No movies, no more fun stuff. You better figure out ways to do it for free and cheap. Take a walk in the park. Long-term savings and spending, you got a goal for that. So that's where that money's going. Your investments, you ain't touching it. It's recycling itself. And then you're paying your bills and your necessities. So getting on a plan, developing the discipline. But it takes practice in doing it. And it takes, like what Eden them and the other people are going to learn, is takes somebody like me who's going to be down your throat constantly like, where's your budget? Show me your budget. Let me see your credit score. Let me see your credit report. Show me your budget. Let me see the results of your budgets. Why did you, this is outside of your 10%. You know, accountability is vital. That's how I was a successful personal trainer, is that I was seriously holding my people accountable for what they did and what they do, right? Brick. I think you meant Luke Cage came on. Man, I'm about to binge me some Luke Cage while I'm popping corn tomorrow. I'm on your Facebook friends list too. Oh yeah, and thanks for the ad. No, my pleasure, my pleasure. Yes, this is a long goodbye, Iron Charioteer. So I've been told to say goodbye. So guess what? Good night, everybody. I love you. Great to see you. But remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good night.